What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we're talking about the brand new movie coming out this weekend, Cocaine Bear. Directed by Elizabeth Banks and written by Jimmy Warden, this film stars people like Keri Russell, Alden Ehrenreich, O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ray Liotta, Margot Martindale, and many more. Thank you, Elizabeth Banks, for directing a film about a bear that has just ingested far too much cocaine and goes on a killing spree. Yes, that is what this movie is all about. Before we get too far into this, I'd like to say a big thanks to all of you guys for clicking here on this video to hear my thoughts on the brand new film Cocaine Bear, directed by Elizabeth Banks, who has directed some films that you may say, yeah, that makes sense for Elizabeth Banks to direct, but has completely surprised me now by directing a film about a real life event that took place back in the day where a bear ended up ingesting some cocaine, whereas in that story the bear ends up obviously dying from the cocaine. In this story, the cocaine bear has gone crazy and is killing everybody throughout the entirety of the movie. And if you're like me and love a good cheesy horror movie that is just kind of leaning into its bizarre, over-the-top premise and just leans into something big, stupid, and fun, then this movie is going to be right up your alley. I do want to start this off almost by saying that I recognize wholeheartedly that this is a movie that is not going to work for everybody. If you're not somebody who's into very tongue-in-cheek kind of movies, if you're not really into very self-aware, stupid comedy or things that just know what they are and are leaning heavily into it, then you're not going to have a good time with this. However, based on the title, the poster, and just the marketing overall, the trailers, whatever the case may be, I can't imagine anybody's going to watch any of the trailers for this movie and think, that looks like a fantastic grounded drama. Chances are you've seen the trailer and think, wow, that looks absolutely bizarre, and you're either intrigued by it like I was because of its bizarre nature, or you're somebody who can look at it and go, yeah, that's just not for me. But if you're like me and you like this kind of stuff, I think you're gonna have a good time with Cocaine Bear, because I had a good time with it. I found it to be a big, fun, over-the-top, self-aware film, literally that, and in the simplest form, is really just about a bear that ingests cocaine and ends up killing a bunch of people over the course of the film. Beyond that, there are a couple of groups of characters we're following that all have their different own agendas or are kind of on their own paths, but this isn't really a film about narrative or character arcs or anything like that. There are elements that I didn't love about this film. There are areas I do feel they could have leaned a little bit heavier into the insanity of the overall premise, but for the most part, I found this to just be a good, fun time at the movies. The theater I saw it in was packed. People were laughing throughout, just having a good time. I even heard a dude at one point shout, "What the hell are we watching?" at a certain point in the movie, and I just honestly loved that. I love that it was just such a bizarre film that you could just hear the confusion and the laughter and just people being like, what the hell is going on, over the entirety of the theater throughout the course of the runtime. And again, as somebody who loves just cheesy stuff, especially when it comes to very big over-the-top gore fest like this, I'm just always a sucker for this kind of stuff. The base premise, as I mentioned, beyond the fact that there is a bear that ingests cocaine, is that there has been some cocaine that has been thrown out of a plane, been abandoned by some drug dealers to avoid it being burnt up in a crash, and it just so happens to land on this mountainside that has this bear that ends up finding the cocaine first. Then you have a mother played by Keri Russell, who was supposed to go out to the woods with her daughter but had to go to work. She's a nurse, and her daughter ends up skipping school with her friend and deciding to go out there into the woods. That's when they end up running into the bear. And then we have a group of characters that are actually working for the cocaine dealers, being led by Ray Liotta. You know, rest in peace, Ray Liotta. It's so sad that he's passed away now. He does give a fun performance here in the movie. He's just like the big bad. He's the cocaine guy who forces his son, played by Alden Ehrenreich, as well as his friend and also employee, played by O'Shea Jackson, to go out there into the woods and find the rest of this cocaine. So you got a mother trying to find her daughter and her daughter's friend in the woods where there's a murderous bear, and then you got some drug dealers trying to find their cocaine that this bear has now ingested. And then you got some other characters that come up in the mix. There's some paramedics at a certain point. There's a trio of dumbasses that are in here at a certain point. There's some park rangers in here as well, and a lot of them are just fodder for our bear to kill. And for the most part, I found this to just be a good time. I think this is a movie that at times leans into some serious stuff that sometimes takes away from the charm of the film. There are some times where I felt like they could have leaned a little bit heavier into the insanity and the silliness of the premise, but for the most part, I feel like this movie knows what it is. It's fun, it's action packed. You got the CGI bear running around who looks pretty good throughout the course of the film, while also being able to kind of have an animated element to the character, because the bear is a character, and as he's, you know, ingesting cocaine, there are some really humorous moments with this bear and the way that the bear is interacting with the drugs, which made the film pretty fun to watch. Yeah, you know, this is a ridiculous film. I don't even think I have too much more to say on this movie. It's well shot, it's well acted, and it's really something that knows what it is. While I do agree that there may be some moments that could have gone a little bit further with what the premise was all about, like I mentioned, while I do agree that there are elements about this that maybe could have been trimmed, some characters and some storylines, some background stories that were added to these characters that maybe doesn't really need to be there. Yeah, this was an overall good time at the movies. I would say that the biggest thing I think this film could have used genuinely was probably a more streamlined narrative. It's not really a movie that has a narrative that you can really latch on to, characters that have a, you know, character arc or something that they're striving for or something that you can kind of root for, other than the fact that Keri Russell's character is looking for her daughter and, you know, trying to save her daughter. Outside of that kind of idea of mother trying to save daughter, there isn't a whole bunch to root for. Most of this movie is just watching these people being in the wrong place at the wrong time with a bear that has ingested far too much cocaine. And for the most part, it entertains, it knows what it is. I had fun with it. There was plenty of little fun lines of dialogue. There's even fun moments with the bear. There's a scene in the movie where the bear has just torn somebody to bits and they have some cocaine on their leg that's lying there on the floor, and the bear comes and takes the line of cocaine off this person's dead leg that's just ripped to shreds. It's silly, it's stupid, it knows what it is, and that's all I have to say on this one. So a big thanks to you guys for watching my thoughts here on Cocaine Bear. I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say. I want to invite different opinions because I recognize this movie may not be for everybody. Do you think it was stupid in a good fun way, or did you find it was stupid in the worst way possible? I definitely want to hear what people have to say about it, so hit that like button, comment your thoughts, subscribe for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye.